Hey guys, here today with the 111 Deep Space. Now this is another custom division knife that marks the first custom division model for the 2021 year. Now a lot of people were really taken aback when this model was first reviewed. The gorgeous combination of materials alongside with the fact that this is using the new 111 NS design, I think really did it for a lot of people. And I'm really interested and excited to talk about this knife here in front of me for you guys today. Now, as many of you guys know, the 111 is named for its 111 millimeter blade length. If you take a look at it compared to some other more commonly known sugar knives, the F95 size and the new Neon Zero size, you can see that it is a very large knife. And we're looking at around 4.5 inches of cutting length and just under 10 inches of overall length, so a very large knife. Now, despite that, let's take a look at the weight here. I'm very interested to see the weight since I haven't handled 111 NS myself, the production ones. So if we take a look here, we can see that this knife weighs 4.99 ounces, so nearly 5 ounces. So definitely not a light knife by any means, but given the size of the knife, it doesn't weigh as much as it kind of looks. Now, the 111 has a lot of really cool features going on with it. Most of it kind of going on in the blade. The new style of the 111 really focuses on the blade here, and this custom division definitely is no different. If you take a look at the blade here, the engraving here says that this blade is S110V. So we're using a fairly new steel for custom division. There was one other knife that was released with this blade steel, the Neon NL, back in, I believe, 2019. And we also had the recent Kami collaboration using this steel as well. So I think this marks a very interesting, or not very interesting, but very needed change in the kind of de facto steel being used in custom division knives. If it's not like a Damasteel blade, it's pretty much been S90V with a couple of other exceptions. We have sometimes, Vanadis 10 being used in the recent Quantum Bronze. Also, Van X37 has been used in a couple of other custom divisions, but by and large, we've been seeing a lot of S90V. And with the Neon NL and now the 111 Deep Space using S110, I think that we're going to see this being the de facto steel for other custom division knives in the future, which is really great because I think you're getting, with S90V, you're focusing on that edge retention, and S110 really just kind of boosts that aspect of the blade steel. Now, taking a look here, you can see we also have satin flats, which is very traditional for custom division knives. And the most apparent thing that kind of pops out to me with the blade here is this beautiful skeletonized cutout here at the top near the jimping. Now, this cutout is definitely not the first for 111s. Sergey's Customs also have this cutout on many of the 111s. But what is interesting is the shape of this cutout. Now, like many other knives, the cutouts and kind of just blade profiles in general kind of differentiate just slightly compared to the full customs when those features finally come to custom division. And on this cutout here, you can see there's a small bump that I think this is just for aesthetics and something to set it apart from the full custom cutouts. Now, I have my F7 here, and you can see that there is also a very similar looking cutout, but the Hati Bronze custom division, which came out, I believe, in 2018, or 2018, had a similar cutout, but the outline was different, and there was also a bump here as well. So I think that's just Sergey making a conscious effort to differentiate the kind of blade designs from custom division to the full customs. Additionally, here you can see we also have a matching cutout right here, the skeletonization on the flipper tab, and just like the fuller area, the cutout and skeletonization on the flipper tab is slightly different on the custom division compared to the full customs. On the full customs, this cutout is offset. I think, I really don't know why Sergey does these offset cutouts, but I really like the look of it. But as you can see on the custom division, we have it being, the skeletonization being centered right on the flipper tab. So there's equal width of material around the skeletonization. Additionally, if you take a look here at the top, you can see we have that wider type jimping that we see, that we first saw on the Neon Zero. Honestly, I think it looks great aesthetically, but it just doesn't have the same functionality as the older jimping, unfortunately. But what I do find interesting here is Sergey has gone and added this kind of really small grooves here on the inside of the recesses of the jimping. So something that looks, you know, I think this looks really nice, and just an extra detail compared to the Neon Zero and the F3NS. Another major change here to the 111 NS blade as well is the very long slight swedge here on the top of the blade. Now, Sergey started doing this on his 111s around 2019 on his full customs, and I'm really glad to see that feature being carried down to the custom division, and I believe the production 111 NS as well. The swedge really makes the blade look much more refined, especially when you have a blade that extends as far out as the 111. The blade spine can get a little bit boring just being flat on the top. So this added skeletonization alongside with this swedge, I think really makes the blade look much more refined. We also have a much more sloping belly here as compared to the original 111 design. The 111 design had a fairly large flat part of the blade here that kind of curved up fairly dramatically towards the end. And we have a much more sloping belly here on the new style for the 111, which kind of mirrors what we've seen on the F95 NL NS, I guess, the revised version of the F95 NL compared to the traditional F95 blade shape. Now, moving on to the handle here. Whoops, I don't know why I put the knife down. You can see that we have this beautiful handle material here. This is from carbon plate, and I believe they call it their carbo tie. And I believe this is the wave or zigzag version. I'm not really too sure, but basically we have a marble type carbon fiber here with blue and purple and white epoxy, or white, blue, purple, and white dyed epoxy here. And I'm not really sure why they call it carbo tie, since I don't believe there's any titanium in it, but I do know why this knife is named Deep Space. I mean, I think it's very obvious. If you take a look here at this handle material, you can see that really evokes images of you know, photos of nebulas and you know, gaseous clouds in deep space. Just really vibrant colors here that look really nice, different angles in the light. Now, unlike the other 111s in the past, there is actually no handle milling here. The handles are 3D contoured slightly, like all other 111s, and we have these cutouts here on the top and the bottom, but right here on the main flats of the handle, they're just completely flat and just slightly 3D contoured. I really love the kind of flat, non-textured milling of Shurogrov knives. A lot of people are really impressed with the milling that Sergey does, but honestly, I really prefer these smooth surfaces. My Neon custom right here has you know, similar surfaces here, and I think it's really sublime. Just being able to execute just perfectly flat and smooth, not flat, perfectly contoured and smooth 3D mill titanium, really excellent. And the flats here on this knife kind of satisfy that craving that I have for that that kind of texture that Shurogrov very rarely does. And I think that the choice to not mill the handles was a really good one. You can see these waves here. The material, I think, would be too much disrupted just too much with the addition of kind of that very fine silk milling that you see on the production 111s as of right now. Now, if you take a look here at the handle screws, you can see alongside with the pivot collar and the titanium plate with the logo, they're all done in this very deep, rich purple anodization. I'm not sure if they're kind of flamed or if it's done electrically with for the anodization, that color, but you get a really deep, rich purple color that looks wonderful in the light alongside with the carbon fiber handles. The plate with the logo in the back here especially is intriguing to me. We've seen something similar on the Dr. Death Arctic refresh, and I just really love the faceting that's done here on the edges of the plate. There's no purpose for this plate other than contain the logo, but you can tell that a lot of time was put into designing something that looked aesthetically nice. A lot of people think that you can switch the clip here. That is not the case. This titanium plate with the logo is, I believe, just epoxied in. So it's not like this clip is ambidextrous or anything. Also, this is something that they do on the production knives as well, but take a look here at how the screws are clocked. Now, as you know, with most custom division knives, it uses a non-free spinning pivot with a ball bearing underneath, but you can see here that the custom division, the workshop team spends that little extra bit of time to get these screws clocked so that they're all kind of facing towards the middle of the knife here. Something that you see on the production knives as well. If you take a look here at the lock side, you can see that gorgeous material continues with the same pattern here. And we also have the clip, which has changed a lot. There have been several iterations of the 111 clip, and I think every iteration has the clip just getting that much more refined. And now we're having a clip that I believe is pretty much the exact same design as the ones on the full custom 111s. I really love this design. I really love the skeletonization. I love this scoop here. Everything about this clip is amazing compared to the previous generation of production 111s, and I do believe the production 111 NS has a similar clip as well. But taking a look here, you can see on the back of the screws, they're also anodized, and this is actually because the Chicago style screws here have a 3-piece assembly as opposed to a traditional 2-piece for the steel screws. Usually you have one piece that has the barrel and this end right here being integrated as one piece, and then you have the screw head with the slot as the other piece. Since I believe Sergey wanted to have that anodization look on both sides, he's chosen to have kind of just a steel barrel with 2 titanium screws that serve as the end cap, which are, again, anodized in that rich purple color. So really nice and very interesting, something that you don't really see, not even at the custom division level. Now, if you take a look here at the backspacer, you can see this is tumbled zirconium, very finely tumbled here. And the milling on the inside of the grooves matches with the jimping on the blade. You can see these fine lines here in the recesses of the kind of gear pattern on the backspacer. Now the backspacer is also satin finish on the flats. You can kind of see it here in the lanyard area, lanyard hole area here, but unfortunately most of it is kind of masked away on the inside by the handles of the knife. You can also see on here there is jimping on both ends of the knife in the front and the back. Not really sure what purpose the front serves, but the back is actually really nice. This is a fairly large knife for my hands. I have kind of hands on the smaller side, and this jimping really helps the knife sit in the back of your palm here, which allows you to kind of positively flip the knife without it kind of falling out of your hands. Another thing I forgot to mention when talking about the blade, this blade, the blade stock thickness is 3.5 millimeters, which isn't uncommon for 111s, but I believe the normal thickness is 4 millimeter like F95s. And it's really interesting to see such a long blade having such kind of thinner blade stock for most Shirogorovs. Now, if we take a look here at the liner, you can see we have the symbol for that single row roller bearings. And we also have here, if you take a look here at the inside of the backspacer, we have that engraving here. So CD21 for the year 2021, and number 1 here being the first model of the 2021 lineup. And this is the 9th knife out of a series of 50. And if we take a look here real closely at the liners, you can see we have kind of this dual-stepped milling that Sergey has been doing much more often on not only the custom division knives, but also the production knives as well. And also the full customs, of course. And instead of having this kind of more simplistic kind of handle skeletonization, what Sergey has seemed to be doing now has been taking a lot more artistic freedom in milling out the knives, so that we usually have a large, inside a single pocket of skeletonization, you'll have another pocket inside of it that either goes deeper or just goes completely through, as in the case of a 111 liner. And you know, it's completely unnecessary, but I think that's another reason why it really pays to kind of clean and maintain your knife. I think you guys will really be impressed with the level of detail that Sergey puts on the inside of the knives. Additionally, something else that's important to note is the incorporation of the detent ramp on this knife. As you can see here, if we take a look at a knife without a detent ramp, as you can see right here, there's a very hard bump when the detent ball kind of hits the blade and then gets lifted. Now, the Quantum, which is another knife that is kind of notorious for its detent ramp, has a problem because the detent ball has to travel such a far distance before it hits that ramp. And by that point, the blade is already closed and the flipper tab offers no, you pretty much can't really stop the flipper tab with your thumb before the detent ramp or the detent ball hits that ramp. Now, the 111 incorporates that detent ramp. As you can see here, that transition is seamless, and from unlocking the blade to closing it, there is no hard bump. But when the detent ball hits the ramp, you can still kind of get your finger underneath that flipper tab to stop it from closing, which means that although this knife does have a very generous detent ramp like the Quantum, when you're closing the knife, it's not really going to feel that much different than what you're kind of used to on the F95 and the Neon and stuff like that. So I think that the detent ramp is pretty much here to stay, but I wouldn't be too worried about it. And really the flipper tab geometry and stop pin placement and how everything interacts with each other is going to really dictate, you know, how well the detent ramp works in conjunction with the flipper tab and you closing the blade and stuff like that. And the Quantum does have that. I don't know if I would call it an issue. Sergey doesn't really see it as an issue, but it's kind of a complaint that a lot of people have had that even though that the 111 NS definitely will have the detent ramp, it's not really an issue. It's a non-issue. And just something that I wanted to point out. But otherwise, that's pretty much it for the 111 Deep Space. Again, I'm really interested to see the future of custom vision knives, and it's really a balancing act, being able to carry really cool features from the customs and make them more available in this you know, 50 run limited production. But at the same time, you kind of don't want to take the thunder away from the full customs and the magic kind of that's associated with that. So Sergey really has to play this balancing act with the full customs and the production knives, custom division being slotted right there in the middle. But I think this is a wonderful evolution of the knife, of not only the 111, but also the custom division lineup in many ways, as I've outlined in the video. And again, I'm really excited to see what Sergey has in store for the 2021 year. That's pretty much it for this knife. I hope you guys enjoy this video, and I hope you guys enjoy the rest of your day, and I'll see you guys next time.